I was 10 years old. It was early 1971, and my family and I were living in a house in Wharton, New Jersey. This was a house that was built maybe within 10 years after the Civil War. It's an old house with a massive basement. I had just started collecting comics, and that means that my brother and my sister and my parents knew that I had a new Achilles heel, and that was comic books. Conan the Barbarian #4 was the first Conan that I ever bought off the stands. Didn't understand 100% of it, as it wasn't written for 9 and 10-year-old boys, but I got the gist of it. And the cover and the artwork by Barry Smith just blew me away. This became a prized item at an early age. So I decided I needed to hide it, just in case my parents decided I was going to be punished. They knew every hiding spot in my room, as I'd been hiding things for a while, so I needed a fresh place to hide it. In our basement, which was massive, there was an old boiler room where we kept the furnace, and there was a inner brick wall and an outer brick wall, and it had an opening at the very top. And I decided that it looked like a flat shelf space that I could hide Conan 4, which was not bagged or boarded. There were bags back then. I didn't become aware of them until about 1972 with the Robert Bell bag. And of course, boards didn't exist till, well, people made their own boards, but until the early 80s, when you can actually start buying those boards in bulk. And that's a story for another day. But I found that shelf and I decided this is going to be the hiding spot. So I did a test run. I put Conan 4 up there. It worked. Pulled it back down. Everything was fine. The next day, I did it again. This time, I realized there was a gap between these two brick walls, an inner and an outer layer, and it fell between the brick walls. And as far as I know, it is there to this very day. Don't know what kind of condition it would be in at this point, but I couldn't believe it. And that was the first comic book I ever lost. Vowed to never happen again. I got that book back through a trade probably about 3 months later. And I have that to this day. But that book, I've always wondered if anybody were doing any renovations, if they thought, why is there a comic book in between this wall? But you've heard stories about that before. I know guy found a copy of Action Comics 1 some years ago at an old farmhouse in between a wall. And that was worth quite a bit more than my Conan 4, I have no doubt. Little update on my collecting. I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently, and I said I hadn't bought a single collectible, including comic books, since the Heroes Con back in June of last year. And we're doing a lot of things to the house, and so it's kind of like all hands on deck. If you are a homeowner, you know what I'm talking about. Plus, I wanted to take a break. It's the longest break I've ever taken since probably 1971. And at first, it was very difficult. I don't go to websites. I don't do any of that stuff. And it's difficult, but, I've been appreciating my collection more and more because of not bringing in anything new. Plus, I've been making up some really good want lists and some wish lists, and I'm getting a little bit more focused in my hobby. So hopefully that break will be ending soon. But that's my story of Conan the Barbarian. I love the books. I've got the run, and I think it was one of the greatest books, certainly the first 100 issues that Marvel ever came out with back in the 1970s. I'm Alan Garrett. Oh, got to show that one. I think Shannon showed that on his show the other day. First annual, 1973. Trivia question, what were the 3 annuals in 1973? Conan the Barbarian 1, Fantastic Four Annual number 10, and Amazing Spider-Man Annual 9. No other annuals came out. Okay, now take that to the bank or do whatever you want to do with it, because it's not worth anything. This is Alan of After Comics. Have a great day.